Ladies and gentlemen, back. Uh, I've been chewing on the combat problem of this game, and I've been thinking about the exact way to part and parcel these issues. First, ammo. Ammo isn't exactly scarce in this game. In fact, it flows pretty freely. But the ammo cap feels awkward to me. Um, it also starts way too low. So hang on. We get the ammo cap initial, which flows into the... It's more like a kit, isn't it? Where's this power progression? We'll put it under kit. So we've got the ammo cap initial, which flows into the ammo cap period because it interrupts flow, which then leads me to comment on the chainsaw, which just feels wrong. And the more I think about it, the more I can't put into words why the chainsaw feels so wrong. It felt fine in Doom 4. It does not feel fine here. I did notice that when you chainsaw someone, it does not give you a full set of ammo. And I also noticed that the respawn point the refill timer on the chainsaw is usually long enough that unless you're doing a longer arena, you only get one of those per run. So these all kind of interrupt each other. The ammo cap is low. That sucks. The ammo cap is still too low even when you upgrade it, which causes an interruption in flow, which can be mitigated by the use of the chainsaw, which just doesn't feel right. And I hate to be so vague about that, but I cannot put it into words better than that. This also leads us into a problem with enemy health, which is just too high on quite a few enemies because they want you to engage with the weak point system, which also leads directly into the size of encounters. You fight so many things in a given encounter node, like one battle, just involves so much stuff. Which feeds directly into the melee issue. So we'll call that enemy, put this under traversal, because that's what it ultimately is. It's something that gets in the way of navigation, especially with how paced most of these encounters are. So the enemy collision, and we got to put it under enemy design. No, enemy AI. Tendency to body block you, because a lot of enemies try to get right up in your face, which leads to issues with... Put this in a Raspberry Jam. The meleeing, which is actually not just Raspberry Jam, but it's also difficulty. And so they body block you, then they melee you, and they melee you. So that's difficulty because of the way it prevents you from being able to move, and Raspberry Jam because it prevents you from being able to see. It's a part of not being able to tell what's going on and interrupting with your ability to process what's going on in the melee. All of this is made worse by the terrible easy mode. I actually already jotted that down, so we're going to put this up here to make sure we're not doubling up on that negative. And finally, the Forced Iron Man mode. Problem. And I think that's everything. Yeah, I think that's the combat problem right there. I'll put this here and this here. Oh, of course, Keon. We've been discussing constantly. If anything, I imagine most of my YouTube viewers are very upset with me for constantly pausing the game to talk about it. I apologize, YouTube viewers. Please don't hate me too much. Okay. I think that's good. Yeah, I'm not... This is not a Let's Play. That's a true way to put it out. Look, if I had the power to magically timestamp my stuff, trust me, I'd do it every time. Oh yeah, I need to do this too. Sorry, hang on. There we go. I mean, every run's a pseudo-low run. By design. So, Necrovol, Part 1. The next 2 stages will be here.
Argent energy is made from the souls of Hell's victims. This is the factory where that takes place. Necrovol, the city of the damned.
Cool. Yeah, ignore the Titan there, who's just kind of... He's not enjoying life right now. I think it's the simplest way to put that. Not yet, Adam Ciuta. Not yet. Not working. Damn it. I didn't think this would work, but I thought it was at least worth a try. Ah, well. Moving on. Worth a try. I'm gonna try that. Let's see. Oh, yep, nope, you were right. I'm stupid. Well, that's just... That changes things slightly. Now that brings a smile to my face right there. I'm actually quite a fan of the UI myself, Keon. I know several people don't care for it, and that's fine. Preferences are preferences. I do like how the overwhelming majority of it can simply be turned off. You know what, Shifan? I've been debating that, and I think I agree. This game does a lot right. Really. Like, there's a lot of good level design, a lot of good enemy design, a lot of good counter design. The kit is fun and interesting. You know, yeah. Yada, 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 right? The music's fantastic. But it just does not play as sushi as Doom 4 does. I don't have a better way to phrase that. Quite honestly. I'm not sure why that happened. No, I'm with you, KO. Me and interface design. Right there in lockstep with you, you know. I am very curious for Dark Ages, and excited for it, it's worth noting. For as much as I feel like I've been coming down on this game, I am enjoying myself more than not. I just suffering from a migraine right now. And yeah, Dark Ages, I'm super hyped for that. The city of Necroval was built in Hell by the combined efforts of the Makers and the Sentinel Engineers, designed to produce a continuous flow of Argent energy. Constructed of stone and fell steel on top of a foundation of uncounted corpses, the sprawling fortress funnels a constant stream of victims towards Calabas, the sightless judge. This ancient demon is a rare breed, unable to communicate or move without great difficulty. It exists as an overseer of sorts, awaiting as cages packed with recently slain are brought before it, determining which souls are candidates for the Argent process. Operating not unlike a large-scale slaughterhouse, Necroval is divided into many sections. The most immediately accessible portions contain the Abaddon Pit, an enormous chasm where victims are herded. Beyond Calabas, the Argent-worthy souls are directed deeper into the Black Fortress. Those who he renders unfit are discarded as waste, their tortured souls thrown into the burning sludge of the Blood Swamps. Rather, remember the Blood Swamps, that's going to come up later. And yeah, that's just a cyber demon right there. And he's dead. Oh, excuse me, that's actually a tyrant. My bad. Oh, it's not going to show me it. Whatever. So, I know I'm different than most players, not in a good way, in a terrible way. But you know one thing I like about being able to play the game in this manner, and my mood is probably immediately noticeably better. I just use whatever gun I want to. You know, like I did in Doom 4. I like switching around guns all the time. It's fun. I like using them because they're fun and different and interesting. I don't like looking at something and saying, oh, well, I have to use this now. That's a personal preference thing. I'm not holding that against the game. Just thought I'd comment on it. It's easy to comment on, too, because we just saw that in Doom 4, where I could use whatever I want to in Doom 4.
Here the humans arrive from Earth, waiting to be...
Oh, yeah, this is probably another really bad... Like, this isn't a gore trigger warning, but this terrifies the crap out of me, because... Well, those are people who are conscious and aware, as they've been herded into cages so tightly they have barely any space to move. And they're just sitting there waiting to be tortured or tossed. That's horrible. I don't have anything else to add to that. That's horrible. Good news is we're here to shut this place down. Not now, but we'll get there. Game. There we go. Yeah, hell. That's horrible. Why do you say it like it's a good thing? We're hell. What do you expect from us? That's true. Mankind needs this stuff. Don't you understand? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think too much about the grinders that are built into this place.
The Khan Maker needs Earth and its souls. Her world is dying. The culling allows her people to replenish their resources and survive. As you save your world, you put hers in peril.
Good. Ignore this. It's normal.
Up ahead is Calabas, the sightless judge. It determines who's fit to begin the soul extraction process. The rest will be discarded to the blood swamps.
I just read that. Also, why does Hayden know all this about hell? It's weird. I guess he did his research before he started ripping energy out of this place. So, you can't quite see it because of the graphics bugging that's going on right now, which we'll hopefully fix as soon as we're allowed to move. Hey, there we go. So there's Calibos, also known as Mother Brain. Barely joking. Yeah, I noticed that too, Plutonia. Now the question is that deliberate? Out souls and shooting them at me. Impolite.
The shield is lowered now, while it's exposed.
Well, if you insist. So that's step 1 down. No more judging. Probably Mad Overlord. Let's come on over here. Come on, it's okay. It's okay. Group up, group up. We're cool. We're cool. Everything's cool. Come on, come on. Don't be shy. Okay, good talk. No, Innocence. Honestly, we probably won't even discuss that until we get to the DLC. All we know right now is Samuel has definitely done his homework, and that's about it. Same as Pinky's. Interesting. It's our first mastery token. I'm going to use that immediately. On this, I think. Ultimate cooling. You know what that does? That. It does, Plutonia. That's actually brilliant. Oh, don't look at the walls. Don't look at the walls. Don't think about it. We're going to free all these people. I mean, that's not even copium. We're freeing all these people. Be free. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I just hold down the button. I just do this. This is so amazing. I need this. I needed this so much. I know, Drathon. I mean, the upgrade was literally called Ultimate Cooling. Remember that story I told you about Wolfenstein 3D? No, Laura, we hate you. Oh, okay. Why are you watching me if you hate me? Oh, wait, hate watching. That's a thing, isn't it? Why is that a thing? You ever wonder about that? If you have nothing better to do with your time than to spend it on someone you actually despise. Hi, Dark Day. Okay, I gotta see if I can get the big bag. Come here, Minkus. Come here. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Yeah! Actually, it's funny you say that. There is real psychological evidence that some people do actually prefer to stay in a state of anger. For what is effectively the chemical reasons. Leave it at that. Yeah, the dopamine drip, exactly. Like, it's not just feeling angry, it's feeling satisfied that you're better than them, that they're wrong. Like, have you ever looked at some news about some idiot, or some moron, or some dumb thing and thought, ah, ridiculous, because you know you're not that stupid, and you know you're better than that. And you're right. That's not really the bad part there. But you see how there's certain groups, news groups, streamers, YouTubers, whatever, that feed into that. Look at me and look how terrible I am, so you can feel better about yourself. That's the trade-off. That's exactly what I was about to say, Ars Bruce. If you'll forgive me for repeating the story. The first FPS I ever played that I'm aware of was Wolfenstein 3D. Try to be shocked. It was quite a while ago. I was pretty young. I remember where I was, because I was at my dad's boss's, right? And the dad's boss had a home computer. Now, please understand how rich this asshole had to be to have that be true. Just think about that for a second. He actually had a computer in his home when Wolfenstein 3D was new. Anyways, and he had that game installed. And, a little refire right on that. And I was over, and my dad asked if I could poke at the thing, because Dad knew I was very into video games, and always have been, like, since I was 3. So I pop on. The dad's boss, he was like, oh, I'm going to show off this fancy new game I've got. I'm going to show off how amazing my rig is. Fires up Wolfenstein 3D. And it was a save partially through the game. I have no idea where exactly. I have no way of knowing where. But what I do know is I was pretty much at the level wherever you get the chain gun for the first time. So I'm going through with... in Wolfenstein 3, it's basically the assault rifle, right? It's like just like that. And I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing my thing, and doing my thing. And then I got the assault rifle, or the chain gun, excuse me, and it sounded like this. Or at least that's how I remembered it sounding. If you've played Wolfenstein 3D, you know it doesn't sound that good. And it was just this moment of, oh my god, this is so awesome! And then Dad got mad at me for making him look bad in front of his boss, and it was this whole thing. The boss yelled at me because I was being excited about something while he was on the phone, and I was just a stupid kid, and I felt terrible about that for years. But I've never forgotten that moment. It was probably the very first time I was introduced to the concept of viscerality. The feeling of picking up a new bit of kit in a game, and then just being like, damn, son! So, it's a nice kind of full circle kind of thing, you know? How many of you remember that kind of a moment? I'm backtracking. I actually remember another moment like that, which may or may not have been before that incident. If you can guess what it is before I tell you, I will put $5 towards 3 games of your choice, because nobody's going to guess it. No offense, but, like, there's no way. Let's see. Hang on. Where's the Arbalist? Oh, I haven't... No wonder I've been doing that. There we go. So now I need to kill 20 Cacodemons. Okay, that's my goal. Kill Cacodemons. Cacodemons be dead, yo. while we're here. I've already upgraded? Yeah, that's fully upgraded. Yes. No, I could vibe that, Dream Whisperer. I get that. Link Between Worlds Fire Rod for the first time. You know what? Ditto, Kitten Fan. Absolutely ditto. Super Gravity Gun. Yep, that's another good one. These are all good ones. A little more modern, but good. Just type !Dark Day. It is the simplest input you could possibly come up with, because it's the most common.
Humans must be tortured, the flesh tenderized. Once enough pain has been inflicted and the spirit broken, the soul is ready for the extraction process.
Yet remember, they actively have to torture people. It is specifically the pain that produces the energy. Ooh, Call of Duty, that's a good one. Oh, the auto shotty in Counter-Strike. Yeah. So, is anybody going to try guessing, or should I just tell you? It's actually really obvious in hindsight, if I'm being honest, but that's the only hint I'm going to give you. Come on. Damn it, I had it. By the way, do you know you could chain from the chain into a glory kill? Because it doesn't actually really do that much damage, or any, I'm not even sure if it doesn't. Alright, I'll go ahead and tell you. Mega Man 2 Metal Blade's weapon. Or Metal Man's weapon. The Metal Blades. I said that wrong. Again, not quite to the level of the nonsense you're seeing on screen right now, but, you know, it was fun. Raspberry Jam? Well, I actually can't show you right now, ironically, but I have no problem explaining what Raspberry Jam is. You see, there's this thing video games like to do, where they're like, hey, you're low on health. Hey, you're dying. Hey, you're dying. You're dying because you're low on health. You're dying. And there's all kinds of ways that games have invented over the years in order to try and, you know, convey to the player that they're low on health. And the worst ways involve really obnoxious audio bleeps. We call those health beat leaps. Or, of course, the Raspberry Jam. If you've played any Call of Duty game, you know what Raspberry Jam is because you've seen it. It's this red pulp that shows up at the edge of your screens, indicating, hey, you're low on health. Ow, I'm running that guy. That's Raspberry Jam. This game has pretty bad Raspberry Jam. Like, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but at the same time, it's getting there. Yes, they did, Disco. Speaking of which, you asked me a question, which I missed. Oldest game I can have fun with, even if it's not an overall good game. So oldest game I can enjoy, even if it's with asterisks, is what I take that question as. Oldest game I can enjoy. Oh, it's so much more fun. Fusion Catalyst. I know. You can make fun of me, you can call noob, or insult me, or whatever. I don't care, because I'm finally actually enjoying myself again. I cannot tell you how much relaxing this is compared to before. Anyways. Moving on. Honestly, I'm tempted to just go with the classic, Super Mario Bros. 1. The first several levels in Super Mario Bros. 1 are still good levels to this very day. Still enjoyable, still well designed, and things that I don't mind going back to and replaying periodically. The game as a whole is not what I would call a particularly good game. At a certain point, the quality nosedives horribly. But that's not what you asked me. Hello? Let's see how you handle an infinite chain gun. Will he ever attack if he's under attack constantly? He might not. He might just sit there. Summoning dogs like a dick. Interesting. I have an alternate idea. That works. I mean, yeah, exactly. Blew up, Alex. But you get my point, right? I could sit down and play Mario Bros. 1 right now and still enjoy parts of it. The transformation of mortal creature into demon is a laggard and gradual process, one that can take eons to transpire without the catalyst of Argenta intervention. The victim is left to maunder in the Shadowland for years uncounted, where over ageless time they transform into demon. During their nightmare's journey, the ethereal soul slowly drains from the body. In the dark realm, the substance of mortal life is manifest as matter. It gathers in pools of volatile aura found all over hell. Demonkind call these pools the Well and use them to invigorate themselves for battle. See you around, Reggie. Yes, that's the one, Linerith. Well, by at least 1 point, aren't they? I will admit the nerfed Marauders are much less irritating to fight. I still think they're bad. I still think they interrupt the overall flow of combat because they're a parry enemy in this game. Right? Like a parry enemy in a Devil May Cry? Sure. A parry enemy in, you know, Sekiro? No problem. A parry enemy in a Doom game? Anyways. It is from this aura that the essence is formed. By melding it with Wraith energy, that which lights the darkened hall and sets Sentinel Sword ablaze, the essence is founded. The combining of these primal energies creates Argent energy, a power source so potent, so incalculably formidable, that it's consumed the Argenta and drives us on to greater influence than was ever possible with Wraith power alone. Oh, absolutely. Contra, I'm pretty sure, is going to be in the Nest block. Can someone double check that for me, please? And we'll talk about the nature of how Contra's designed when we get there. We'll almost assuredly put in the cheat, throw up the cheat flag, and then just say, hey, we have 30 lives now. Having said that, even 30 lives can be frustrating in that game, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So, this is for you, Dream Whisperer. Let's just use the BFG for a while. Let's just see what it's like. Having a BFG. Yeah, he didn't like that. I remember that Doom Hunter fight. You know, the guy just two-shot.
The spirit is broken and enough pain has been inflicted. Only when the human has lost all hope will it be transferred to the soul extraction chamber.
That's right, they need true despair to extract the most possible energy from their soul. No, Contra is correct. That's weird. I own Contra. I don't want to get into the lives debate again, but in general, I do agree that lives have to be designed, and too many developers don't. We actually discussed that during Mario 1. Is that a statue to Olivia? I'm honestly not sure it's possible to break someone like Doom Guy. Not because he's a badass, I mean that sincerely. Yeah, lives in this game, as weird as this sound, feel more like potions. Auto potions, but potions nonetheless. It's like, whoops, glug. and then you keep going. Quite frankly, no, I don't think they knew what they were doing back then. Most older NES games were designed by people who either grew up playing arcade games or themselves had worked in arcade games. There's a reason I call that concept artifact design. We do it this way because we did it this way. It wasn't until later on that people would start being like, well, hold up. Why are we doing it this way? Oh, absolutely, Disco. Despite my issues with Eternal, which I certainly have, I am still looking forward to it. Yeah, no, I need to go up. That's obvious. How do I get... I'm right. I need to get up there. Oh, God, I'm stupid. I need to do it this way. Pay attention, Mark. You're stupid, dumb, and wordless, but come on. Work with me here. Don't think about that too much. Man, that just sounds amusing, Chill Penguin. So hang on. What are you referencing, Kinfi? Oh, I get you, I get you. Sorry. I don't know why. I thought you were referencing LTTP, not LBW. Boop. Thanks, Olivia. Round 2. So that was almost entirely arena-based stuff. Let's see what we've got in part 2 of the Necrophall.
Inside that citadel is the soul extraction chamber. We must make our way through into the top, where the pure Argent energy is exported directly to Urdak.
Yes, Disco, I actually do. Tell me. So, I'm actually still thinking about your question, though, even though I've already answered it, Disco. See... Ooh, hello. Obviously, Super Mario Bros. 1 is probably the oldest game I can think of that allows me to still enjoy it. But can I go further back? This is actually a question we've talked about several times. Is there such a thing for... I overshot. Ugh! Is there such a thing as an Atari game, for example? Or something from the Atari age, which is functionally the age of the arcades, that is still enjoyable today? Now, in the long term, probably not. But, like, just for a little bit? That's a question worth chewing on. Oh, okay. Ah! So, cheddar, onion, lettuce, tomato puree, barbecue sauce, and homemade bread. You almost had me. But there's no meat, and you added barbecue sauce. I'm afraid it's all over. Donkey Kong. You know, I'm kind of with you on that. Oh, does it have to be the Arbalest? Damn it. Well, no, that's after Super Mario Bros. 1, though, Linarith. We need to go further back. I agree with you, though. Did that count? Are these counting? Can't even tell. Hang on. Sorry, I'm trying to level up my Arbalest. Kill 20 Cacodemons. Are those no Cacodemons? Am I stupid? Don't answer that. No, they are. Why aren't they counting? I tried killing him normal, and I tried killing him with the split, and neither worked. I accept this. Well, whatever. Yeah, exactly, Blue Alex. That's why I'm kind of chewing on the question. I will freely admit, I actually thought I didn't like video games as a kid, as a very, very young kid. My dad tried to introduce me to several that he was into, you know, like Pac-Man, and it just didn't gel with me. Even to this day, I'm not a huge fan of the arcade-style game. Speaking of which, you're probably wondering, what is the arcade-style game? Well, obviously there's certain aspects of, like, level design, trying to rip quarters out of you, blah, 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 but really, the thing that defines an arcade game versus a game, whatever you want to call that, is an arcade game isn't really supposed to end. Arcade game is just something you do to pass the time. You go for a score, you sit down, you play for a minute, or you sit down and play until you run out of quarters, and that's it. Now, if this all sounds familiar, it should, and this is actually recent in my mind because I was recently trying to define mobile gaming. A lot of mobile games aren't really designed to be concluded, for lack of a better way to put that. You're just supposed to play until you either are done playing, run out of time, or fail.
Are made to suffer. Processed souls for the Khan Maker's world. I assure you, this could have been avoided with different leadership.
And yeah, mobile game. The reason I bring this up specifically isn't just to bash mobile games. It really was something that was occurring to me recently because I was looking into gaming history for a friend of mine, and I noticed just kind of accidentally the similarities between the arcade era of the 70s and the mobile era of now. That's all. Food for thought. You know me. I like game history. I like history in general. So, hey, Ghost Rider, are you there? By the way, I am cheating. I'm just gonna be extremely honest about that. No hiding it, right? I'm not one of those fake blind speedrunners. So, a game I like to play is the minimum change game. Are you familiar with it? God, I love the Super. Sure, can you give me a moment, Lunarith? Okay, so the minimum change game, the idea is to change as little as possible in order to accomplish as much change as possible, either for better or for worse. Sense make? The classic example I like to use is, how do you improve Episode 1 with a minimal change? And the answer that I have came up with over the years is you make Anakin Skywalker a teenager. Stuff like that. I agree with you completely, Blow Off Alex. Yeah, exactly. Optimize hypothetical changes, right? What would be your minimum change to improve this game, if you can even think of one? Like, if there's anything you think is worthy of improvement.
Critical damage.
Oh, I forgot to do this for Dream Whisperer. Sorry, Dream Whisperer! Take out the Marauder. No, I actually do have an answer for that. I've been chewing on it. Yeah, stronger melee. This is one of the Soul Spires identified in Argenta texts, built into the columns of Necroval. Though the Soul Spires were linked directly to Argent through a Hell Priest, this particular one is linked to Urdak. There's no continuum gate here, presumably due to Khan Maker's natural distrust of those under her charge. Soul Spires were designed by the Makers to accelerate the processing of mortal victims into Argent energy, and built in secret by Sentinel slaves under the direction of the Order Deeg. This forced labor was a crucial step in fulfilling Khan Maker's desire for Argent, as beings from Urdak are unable to cross over to Hell's dimension. Love the green lights.
This is raw Argent energy. The suffering on Earth, the bloodshed, all of it. For this. Once the soul is extracted, the husk of the human body will over time transform into the demons you fight now.
Yep.
The extracted soul that remains will power their world. The essence of hell.
And there's your suffering factory. Oh, hey, an archvile. That pile of giblets back there was the archvile. Oh, hey! Ooh. Okay, I'm actually challenged now. Can I beat a Marauder with just the BFG? Yes, is the answer to that question. So let's see. Different chainsaw, different flame belch, better baseline melee, and larger baseline ammo pulls. Honestly, I agree with all of those, to be quite honest with you. I would love to hear your thoughts on how you would change up the chainsaw, because I'm still trying to figure out what I don't like about it, and I have not been able to put it into concrete words. Like, it just feels wrong, and that's not really a good analysis, is it? So, back to you, Linearith. You asked me about the factions in this game. So let me give you a really, really quick, zoomed-out perspective. Some of this is slight spoilers, and some of this we haven't covered yet, but let's cover the basics, okay? So we've got the Makers, we've got the Forces of Hell, or Jadak, if you prefer. Jakad? Nah, whatever. We'll get there. Let's just call them Hell for right now. So, Makers, Hell, we've got the Argent, we've got the Humans. I think we could stop there for the moment. There are plenty of other factions and worlds and species, but those are the big ones, right? Now, the Humans, they've just run into one of those great filter problems. Their energy needs have outpaced their energy production capacity, and so the world is just starting to teeter on problems. Energy crisis. Easy to understand. That's it. Moving on. Second thing is the Argents. The Argents were a race of conquering marauders who roamed the cosmos, at first on their own, and second on behalf of the Makers. We'll come to them in just a second. They were brought low by Hell and the Makers, both back long, long ago. How long ago exactly? That's a good question. We'll come back to that. Third faction, that's the Makers. They're the evil ones. And I know that sounds strange because we haven't covered Hell yet, but I mean this sincerely. The Makers are a race of ancient beings who undergo a degradation when they get too old, which destroys their bodies and minds. And they can't reproduce. So they are, by default, by definition, they are a dying society. So they were searching for some way to try and extend their lifespan unnaturally. That leads us to Hell. Now, if you've been paying attention as we've been going through this very stage, people can be taken in here and processed through a combination of energies and science and magic in order to pull out their souls and convert that soul into this energy, Argent energy, which can then augment the lifespan of the Makers. Thus, the Makers made a deal with Hell. Hell gets to go and consume and conquer worlds, and all of those people get fed back into Hell, and a portion, just one portion, of that energy is sent as tribute to the Makers, and that keeps the Maker Society going. Make sense? Now you're probably thinking, well, what's Hell's goals in all this? So Hell, as of this moment in time, doesn't really have a conscience or sentience behind it in the strictest sense of the word. There's no real goal for Hell other than to simply exist. They consume worlds for energy, and the people that they rip energy out of, the bodies left over, become more demons. So they just kind of keep going, right? It's just a perpetual engine machine. They are surviving, right? That's it. Now, there's some asterisks to everything I just said, but I don't want to go too much into spoilers yet. That's the basics. Were the Makers always incapable of reproducing? Yes. The Makers... Yeah, exactly, Briggy. You don't need to be conscious thought to be hungry. Good evening, off the deeper end. The Makers were built... We'll cover more of the specifics of this later. But the Makers were built to find a way around mortality. And so the implication here is that they were deliberately constructed to be incapable of reproducing in order to then give them the extra motivation necessary to find immortality. The Maker's need for essence is prime. Without it, they suffer the monstrous fate of transfiguration. That's what I was just talking about. They see their wisdom and faculties slither from their twisted forms. By the bidding of Khan Maker herself, the Order of Deke has devised a method to improve and accelerate the production of the Hell Aura. What once took eons for savage beasts to attain can now be accomplished in short order by Argenta intellect and with greater efficiency and consistency. We constructed the Soul Spires, vast halls erected in savage lands by our slaves and under direction of the Order. Even though we raised a monument on their ground, demonkind does not harry us in the assembly of the Soul Spires, for the Darkmaker has bargained a deal with the Dark Lord that rules over the Shadow Walkers. Who is the Dark Lord, you might ask? There's 5 that I'm aware of. Dark Lord just refers to the current person in charge. There's an asterisk to that. I'm definitely not going into that. A bargain was struck. The demons would be given fresh worlds and souls to consume, bolstering their forces and expanding the domain of hell, while the Makers would be granted access to the flow of Argent. The procedure inside the Soul Spires is thus. Captives are tortured until no semblance of humanity remains within them. Bereft of hope, the mortal soul is vulnerable and thus can be extracted. Probably Dark Day. This we achieve with a machine from the enlightened mind of the Khan Maker herself, the Evulsor. Once the Evulsor has done its deed and the soul has been extracted, the victim's body is ejected into the wasteland where, as before our cunning meddling, it becomes a demon over time. So that's the other asterisk here. The demons have always been slowly expanding and consuming other worlds, but it's been, again, there's no real direction, right? There's no guidance. So it's been very slow and very gradual. What the Makers have added is a machine-like precision to the process, which has exponentially accelerated how much hell has been consuming and destroying other worlds and other souls. There is an implication, not stated outright, that the Maker dependency on Argent energy is one of those drug deals. What I mean by that is, as you have it, it has less effect, so you need more of it. Make sense? This also helps to explain why, even though they've been consuming worlds left and right for however many years, the Khan Maker is so desperate to finish the consumption of Earth, is because they need this extra power now. Now, that's all implication. I'm not sure about the specifics of that. So, make the chain gun have 2 firing modes. Okay. Primary is the functional of an actual gun. It just shreds and melts things in close range. With it, the secondary would be the ammo functionality right now. Okay, so Pip's design would be fine. Overusage of chainsaw beam looks solved by higher baseline ammo pools. Using primary mode would not consume pips. It would just be an ammo in the front armor gun. I'm with it. I like it, Ghost Rider. That's honestly probably a better solution than what I was coming up with. I like it. You win, sir and or madam. Whoop! Okay. Okay. I accept. So what I was thinking was even more minimal of a change, because I'm an idiot and was trying to minimize. What I would do is I would remove enemy collision. Removing enemy collision isn't going to substantially change most of the things I've just talked about, except for one critical thing. It's going to make it easier to maneuver on the battlefield. Make it so that you can move through enemies, and in the process be able to have those just get out moments. There's moments I've had personally, and yeah, I'm a terrible player, whatever. But there's moments I've had where I've just completely lost where I'm at in the particular battle because I am so swarmed with enemies, and I move and nothing happens because I'm body blocked by someone I haven't even seen, right? Removing collision allows me to have that thing of re-navigating, figuring out what I'm looking with, and figuring out what kind of decisions I need to make now. Like, okay, there's a little guy right here. He was blocking me. Pull out the chainsaw, pull him down, get him out of the way, refill my ammo, pull back, and you get it, right? It opens up the possibility there that the body blocking just kind of prevents. I like your change, though. I think your change is better.
The demons only utilize a portion of the resources that come from the human soul. It was the Makers and the Sentinel Priests who discovered and unlocked the true power of the Essence. They combined Sentinel and Hell energies together, refined it, and created Argent. With it they did wondrous things. Saved worlds from extinction, healed the sick, and gave infinite power to those worthy of it.
Excuse me. Yep. Powered by a forbidden child, I believe is the name for that trope. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Ross? Yeah, I'm not sure I could think of a minimum change game for Link Between Worlds. That game is solid.
This facility was built in secret. The Night Sentinels never knew.
No baseball. There you go. No baseball.
By Sentinel slaves, for a Maker can never set foot in Hell, nor demon in Urdak. Argent D'Nur served a great purpose to the Makers.
We gather the volatile aura and store it in vast reservoirs where it's coalesced into Wraith with Wraith energy and subjected to the infernal fires of Hell itself. In the heat of the primal fire, the essence is loosed and captured for our gain. The final stage of the process is the dividend of the gains. Vast quantities of the essence are fed directly to Argent D'Nur to power our machine and drive our engine. The rest is reserved for the Khan Maker. Though she may never set foot in the Dark Realm, she has devised means to teleport essence to the Holy Land, that which she calls Urdak, domain of angels. Her use of the essence is unchallenged, for it was she and her court that gave us design to capture the essence, and her payment is just. Oh, that's awful. Hidden fan. With you, though. Yeah. No, the Makers are, in most ways, the actual villains of this setting. But I think that's extremely appropriate, if I can get philosophical for just a second. In most...
It was not made without Hell's knowledge. A deal was struck with the Dark Lord. In return for access to more worlds for Hell to devour, the Makers siphon energy from the damned. It is an unholy union, and cannot stand any longer.
I'm with you on that, Hayden. I think... Yeah, agreed, Seth. I think the reason the Makers work for me... There's a common trope, which I actually really dislike, which is angels are secretly evil. But in this case, these aren't angels. And that's sort of the point. They portray themselves as such. They like to get people to worship them and follow them. But the Makers are, in every way that matters, demons. Real demons. The things that we call demons, yeah, that not only are they just effectively aliens, but they're also mindless husks. They're just monsters that roam and do like animals. The Makers, they're demonic. And I like that. I like that approach to things. I like that design. It kind of ties back into the overall mythos, for lack of a better way to put it. No, the Hell Priests were actually Argenta. Betrayer Argenta. Whoa, that's a drop. I actually hit a kill play. Holy crap. Yeah, the Wraiths are probably the closest thing to actual angels we see in this setting. We don't see a lot of them. But I mean, come on, false angels? That just screams demon to me. Yeah, there's... The Wraiths are debatable, but for all intents and purposes, there are no angels in Doom. Not really. I hope so, too. I mean, it's primed for it, right? That would be back when the Wraiths were actually active. Because the catch here is... That's messed up. The catch here, that was excessive, is that, the Wraiths have been dead for ages, for years or months or centuries or however long it's actually been. The Wraiths were sacrificed during the conquest of Argent D'Nur. Which brings me to yes, Linda, that is correct. It's a prequel. Spartan's question, how did the Sentinels fit into all this? So, the easy answer is they don't. The Sentinels is just the military arm of the Argenta. But the best way to put it is they were the uncorrupted. In other words, the Sentinels were the ones who, unlike most of the Argenta who went along with the Makers, they decided to go ahead and fight the forces of Hell. And guess who was inducted into the Sentinels?
Get to the transmitter tower. If you can destroy it, the unrefined energy should be able to propel you into their world.
That's true, Seth.
The tower is held aloft by 2 enslaved titans. Break the chains. Drop it into the well below.
Wow, he took a shot right to the face. 2 of them. He died after that, but still. Yes, P.D. Barlow. Not a big Spider fan. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Also, J.K. Rowling can go to hell. But, in addition to that... Ooh. Oh, wow, it just nuked his frickin' chariot.
You must break the chains and destroy the Argent transmitter, then ride the energy flow to Erda.
Honestly, no, Linarith. There's actually, even in this very story, I know you weren't here for it, so I'm not going to blame you for that, but I was actually reading earlier the log entries about Doom Guy and how so Doom Guy, thank you, Giga, I appreciate that. Doom Guy was mentally damaged by his time in hell.
The icon of sin. You must hurry.
Which makes sense, right? But he was so mentally damaged that his mind was effectively broken. And he was barely coherent, and he would talk, but he would talk nonsense. And he would talk about things unrelated to whatever's going on. He was just filled with this nonstop rage and trauma from the events of Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 64. His time with the Argenta helped him to focus and added a bit of, let's call it control, on top of all that rage. So, after that process, after that training, after that working with his fellows, after earning their respect, after becoming the Slayer, he managed to refine all that down to the person you see in these games, the games we've been playing over the last few days. Someone who certainly has a plenty of rage in him, but it is very controlled. It's not Kratos, right? Kratos is just, I hate everything. But instead, he is much more calculated now. Speaking of... Welcome to Urdak. Heaven. And let me be clear, I have never meant that more unsincerely. So, yeah, this place is so wonderfully creepy. It is so brilliantly designed.
Magnificent, isn't it? Now quickly, the Khan Maker is nearby. We must stop her before she completes the ritual and gains full control over the icon of sin.
This is where the energy is funneled to. This is the home of the Makers. I could see that, Disco. Probably not intentional, but I could see that. Let's talk about this place briefly, shall we? We actually mentioned this in brief earlier, but something they do that is absolutely brilliant and is getting its own positives. No, I saw it, don't worry. Is it's clean gore, right? There's no gore here. This is all metal and like rock and clean substances. But the design of it is very organic, and it's colored to make it look Geiger-esque. There's a lot of the ribbing going on, right? There's a lot of the bone look. It looks organic, even though it absolutely isn't. And you notice the two dominant colors, polished white and rusty copper. Bone and blood. It's so brilliant. Whoever designed this place, whoever sat down and sketched out and put this together, they deserve a raise. Forgive me for saying this, but I cannot gush enough about how wonderfully creepy Urdak looks. And it manages to look, in my opinion, more horrifying than Hell, despite Hell being, you know, Gluck, right? So let me just jot down really quick. Positives galore for this place. This might be the best brickwork in the entire game. My opinion. We are on effectively the last stage. There's actually a stage after this. I plan to finish the vanilla campaign today. Exactly, Lord Harriman. Yeah, Urdak is... Oh, they put some thought into this. A little bit, yeah, off the deeper end. Or Bayonetta leans into this aesthetic as well. A little bit. If you're familiar with it. Oh, I wasn't even going to talk about the freaking skyboxes. Yeah, this is very Quake. The whole game has been very Quake in a way that I like. That's fair, Logue. You're right, I do prefer this kind of horror, and I do have a dislike of gore. That's absolutely true. But I suppose it's just kind of gratifying to see something this bloodless and goreless that manages the exact same aesthetic of the aforementioned. And yeah, by the way, check out that skybox. Here, let me get a good shot of it. There you go, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. That's the goal, Eternus. That's the goal. Now that we have access to cheats, I'm not as worried about the DLCs. What's Quake? Okay, that's valid. Quake 1 is like, imagine Doom, except you're fighting Lovecraftian stuff instead of hellish stuff. Quake 2 and 4 go a totally different direction with it, with a more traditional anti-alien story against an organization known as the Strogg, which they're gross. I don't know if Quake 3 has any lore to it. I actually played a lot of Quake 3 back in the day, but I don't remember there being, because there's no campaign. Quake 3 is pure deathmatch, or at least it was. Yeah, the Strogg are fascinating. Like, imagine the Borg, but like not as overwhelming, like not as much dread and much more horror. And that's the Strogg. Oh, absolutely, Dark Day. Doom 3 is functionally a horror game, really. And I think it works for what it is trying to do. I do think it still has its issues. I stand by that. But, like, it is a horror game. It's a solid horror game. I already mentioned that. Forgive me, I'm jotting down a few things here. What? I think that explains everything, Eternus. We have a precedence for games that have too much gross, and to the point where the gross detracts from the gameplay experience. That's what Gluck, Yuck, and Buck actually means. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't remember the greater lore of the Strogg, and I know Quake 4 adds to the Strogg, and I haven't played Quake 4. But based on Quake 2, I can say, yeah, the Strogg are probably some program that was set up a while ago that has just been running rampant ever since. Correct, the Strogg are cyborgs. They have a process called Stroggification. Let me walk you through this really quick. So, you get strapped into a thing, you're still awake, conscious and alive. They start chopping up your limbs and your body and replacing pieces of you with cybernetics. It is extraordinarily horrible and messed up and painful, and there's no anesthetic, and they just do it to you live. And then, once you've been converted into a cybernetic version of yourself, that's when they go ahead and they slam a thing into your head, or maybe it's a chip, I forget what it is exactly, but that's the control chip. That links you up to the overall network, the wireless network that the Strogg all run on. Note that they do that last. That's important for reasons I won't go into right now. Damn it, Ghost Rider. Okay, so, Urdak. This is Urdak, homeworld of the Makers. A brief age analysis of the structures and architecture indicate this world is older than any other in our databases. Similarities can be drawn to multiple pan-galactic religions, indicating the Makers' influence was not limited to Argent D'Nur, but over the eons their influence spread over the galaxy and potentially the universe. Okay. Some imagery. I was actually going to interrupt that because I looked up the name of this goddamn place, and it's right there, the Orion Cygnus Arm. This is one of the more interesting tidbits. I know I'm so pathetic and geeky, so forgive me. But I find this fascinating, because the idea here is the Orion Cygnus Arm is where all of the Doom series occurs. And this is the area that the Makers have been conquering and influencing for the better part of the last however many millennia, alongside the Argenta, and, of course, going further back, the Forces of Hell. So this is all kind of contained within this one space, which certainly sounds small, and if it does, then you have no idea how big space is. Moving on. The name Urdak is common tongue in the Maker language, but can be approximately translated to the word for paradise or heaven in hundreds of different languages, further cementing the theory that the Makers have had a religious impact on mortal beings for millions of years. Keeping in mind that's deliberate. They want people to worship them because that makes them more pliable for consumption. Despite their seeming godliness, the Makers have a past. At some point in their ageless history, there's mention of the Father, a logical alien entity that endowed the Makers with their vast knowledge and technical ability. Analysis of Maker artifacts in Scripture indicate the Father may have been a singular being that split to form the Maker race, or instead transfers his incalculable power into the vast structures known as Urdak, which then birthed the Makers in perpetuity. It seems the Makers, though exceptionally long-lived, eventually suffer from biological and mental degradation, at which point they undergo a process known as transfiguration, wherein they allow a voluntary death and resurrection, somehow tied to the Father. This process may have been complicated or damaged in recent past. There are no records of how the Father came to the Makers, when it was first discovered, or if it has any physical form before the Makers. We'll talk about that in the DLCs. The first mention of the Father is regards to a building named the Luminarium, a temple of sorts where the Makers would go to seek answers. The essence of the Father was stolen by one of their own, a Maker referred to as the Seraphim. We've mentioned him before. Records show that one day the Luminarium simply ceased to communicate, and a deep scan of its databanks reveals no remaining trace of the Father entity. Urdak itself exists in an anchor state, utilizing highly advanced dimensional shift technology to allow a static position at a sub-quantum level. This essentially inverts their position in relation to Hell. Both planes of existence are fixed outside the bounds of the known universe, a lower and a higher reality. Khan Maker oversees all within Urdak and now utilizes Argent energy to permanently prevent transfiguration. Oh, absolutely, Seth. The Makers do, so they do have spaceships, but they don't move through space, they teleport through space. Whee! So notice the composition here, and I need to jot down a positive for pacing. Give me a sec to think about this. Urdak, and then level counter Necrovol, and then level platforming Urdak. So here's the thing. The Necrovol section was very, very heavy on combat, to the point of almost exclusion. It was arena, and then arena, and then arena, and then arena. Then we immediately go to Urdak. Now I'm just going to spoil this right now. The overwhelming majority of Urdak is platforming. And notice the difference in the music approach. Everything about this place is a wonderful gameplay contrast to Hell, in addition to the obvious story contrast. We do stuff like this. So the tone is different, but also the gameplay is different. Ooh. That's actually pretty close. Yeah, now this music, I'm going to be honest with you, does get... Whoa, why didn't I double jump? Does get a little bit old. So I will endeavor to get through here before it reaches such a point. This came out 2020, I believe? Someone track me on that. God, look at how organic it looks. They've even got the ribs. Look, they've got the ribs. I'm almost positive it's 2020 because we streamed this game when it came out, and it was 7 months before the Oblivion line, which is, I'm pretty sure, is 2020. And yes, the next one is 2025. This level's so great. I love this level. Sorry for gushing. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. Whoops. You like the trees? This is so great. This is such a wonderful bit of visual storytelling. These trees are lifeless. They are static, stagnant, and built in a perfect state. They're statues. They have frozen these trees in time. They actually grow out of the rock directly. They probably can't actually survive naturally, so they have to be maintained in this stasis state. And yeah, also, they look like veins, continuing the visual aesthetic approach. God, this place. I wish Evo could see this.
Welcome, Seraphim.
So there's the icon of sin.
You cannot stop the procession. We will not be able to control it! No!
So, I'll explain what's going on here for those of you not catching it, but this is a hell of a moment. Oh, and I'm just going to give this away. That's the final boss, because of course the final boss of Doom 2 is the Icon of Sin. Back in the original Doom 2, he was always supposed to be this massive colossal enemy. But obviously, you know, 1994. Yep. We just freed his son's soul. Severing... So, okay. Let's go through this in order. During the fighting between Argent and Hell, the forces of Hell... Hang on, I'm going to just leave that pause for a second. During the fighting between the forces of Argent and the forces of Hell, the Betrayer's son died. Velen, I believe is his name. Velen's son died. And his son... The forces of Hell were like, we will go ahead and offer you your son being returned to you if you betray your fellows. The Betrayer, he's called that for a reason, did actually end up taking that deal, betrayed his fellows, which led to the consumption of the Wraiths and the creation of the Well, which is pretty much one of the biggest reasons why the forces of Hell were able to beat the Argent. So, giant sea change from that betrayal, right? So, the Betrayer decided to stay in Hell as punishment for that, but the demons, they had to fulfill their end of the bargain. Okay, could you not? Thank you. So the demons had to fulfill their end of the bargain. So they contained his son's soul in that heart and implanted it into the Icon of Sin, wherein he would now effectively be chained, trapped, and tortured within the body of the Icon, which is a Titan, and that he would forevermore become a force of hell in this rage pain machine which would cause death and torment all around him. So that's horrific. Back in an earlier level, when we met the Betrayer, he gave us a knife. We just used that knife on the heart, freeing the soul of his son. But what that means is now the Icon of Sin has nothing actually guiding or binding it. It's just a Titan now, doing whatever. So, Now we start fighting some makers. They're fun. Alongside demons, of course. And yeah, let's make this extremely clear. We just saved the sun. Let's just be very, very clear about that. His soul was being tormented in hellish agony, and we just released him. Instantly and without hesitation, I feel like adding. Grabbing onto things above me, I've noticed. Oh, I need to show off some glory kills on the makers. I'll make it a point. The Icon of Sin was always a demonically infused Titan, yes. But Titans are no jokes, so there's no real just in that sentence. If that makes sense. Whoop, hello. Alright, can you guys just... Thanks. Snakes.
The Icon of Sin is no longer in the Khan Maker's control. The longer he is on Earth, the stronger he will grow. There is a portal we can use to follow it. We must reactivate the gate and get back to Earth.
You got it. Yeah, true enough, Dark Day. What alignment would I ascribe to Doom's Lair? You know, honestly, neutral good. He does not care about order, and he does not care about chaos. He cares about doing good. And I know that sounds strange, considering how violent he is, but I stand by that. Certainly at this point in his life. I mean, hell, pun intended. Even in Doom 2, all that we did was specifically to allow Earth a chance to escape the demonic invasion. In fact, if you remember the lore of Doom 2, which I know most of you probably don't, immediately after successfully stopping the demons from being able to go after the humans and freeing the humans, what's the first thing we did? Well, you know, there's still a portal to hell over there, so we could still cut off the demons at the source. Save more people with that. The Icon of Sin. As it is written in the prophecies of the ancient Sentinel scriptures, the Titans, towering elder demons of the Infernal Age, would return... Sorry, real quick little anecdote about the world building of the setting. Each age is defined by a particular Dark Lord. That's why I say we know there's about 5 Dark Lords. We had the Infernal Age, the Infernal Age, the First Age, and I don't remember all the other ones. They actually have named most of them over the course of the series. But anyways, point being, the Infernal Age is one of the earliest ages. Moving along. The Titans are believed to be harbingers of the end time, primordial forces of chaos and destruction. Born from the tortured spirit of the betrayer's son, it was Hell's unholy design that the Icon of Sin was given to flesh. The fearsome Titan forged from the essence of mortal suffering once bore a human soul. A soul now transmogrified and entombed within the still-beating heart of its former self. The betrayer, seeking to free his son from eternal torment with the depths of hell, made an agreement. A pact sealed by the black fates of darkness that promised to grant his son a chance to return from death. His son would return again, but not as a human. In Hell's endless cruelty, the son was damned to become the Icon, an inhumane existence bound only to its former humanity by the now disembodied, undying mortal heart. The wages of betrayal are suffering. I don't remember the brickwork of Doom 64. Sorry for taking a minute to respond to you. But I don't remember it being noteworthy. That's certainly debatable in Aerith, but yes. The problem is the timeline is very vague, and it's very on purpose. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, if that's okay. Because they vague it up. You know what I mean, right? How long has it been? It's been an age! Okay, but how long has it been? An age! You get it. An Age of Ultron, which was like a week and a half. Yep, definitely not gory. I wonder. Interesting. Good to know. Whoop! I didn't. Oh, shoot. I mean, Ultron is considered one of the bigger, large-scale Avengers villains, so yeah, they kind of pushed him off the stage pretty quickly. You know what? I think I'll agree with that, but I hope at least it has been enjoyable to watch, Nemesis. I know I'm not always a good streamer. I do apologize for that. That would be really funny, Linero. Hell, Ultron was way more badass when he teamed up with Sigma. Points if you have any idea what I'm talking about. And no, I still haven't seen the What If series. What? What? Hey! Very good, Dark Day. It's the most recent Marvel vs. Capcom. You know, the worst one by far. Honestly, I'm a little shocked at how well the Doom 1 and 2 runs went. Not in a bad way, it's just, wow. You got it, Ramba, but remember, that's already on the list, so you can put it towards 3 things. But tell you what, everyone, let's hit the stream breaks. Let's see. Since it might be a while until the Mankind Divided run is funded. Hey, there's Mass Effect Andromeda. That was 2017. God, time flies. There was Detroit Become Human. There's Battletech, God of War 4. Should be right around here, because there's Secret of Mana, there's Dissidia. Let's see. It's got to be before this. Death of the Outsider, XCOM, Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein New Colossus, Total Warhammer 2. No, of course I can't. Yes, next up we're playing Yume Nikki, a game I know absolutely nothing about, other than that it's apparently this big, significant game I've never heard of. I'm not saying it's not a big, significant game. I'm saying it's weird. I've been studying gaming history since before I started doing this show. And apparently there's just this giant hole I've never heard of. Okay, there's Binary Domain. Oh my god. This is your fault, Rama. I want you to know that. Mankind divided. Oh. Okay, hang on. Let's do this differently. Let's get organized about this, shall we? When was the Mankind Divided run? There it is. 2016. Whoa, okay. No wonder I wasn't finding it. It's way before all this. Premiere runs, yeah. Is that not this playlist? Premiere runs. Where the hell is it? I'm confused now. I'm staring at the video. It's in the Premiere Runs playlist, and yet I'm also staring at the playlist, and it's not here. What did you do with it, Rama? Okay. Let's do this. I mean, blaming YouTube is the easy choice. It's always YouTube's fault. There it is. I found it. It's at the very end of the playlist. No wonder I couldn't find it. Okay, so let's pull this up on YouTube. This will be easy to find because it's right at the end. So all I have to do is scroll to the end. Come on, YouTube. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. It's okay. Do it. Come on, who's a good boy? Come on, who's a good boy, YouTube? Because it ain't you. You're a piece of crap. You are as good as it gets. That's not much of an accomplishment. There. It is on the playlist, which means it is on the website, though, Rama. For future reference.
Without further ado, I give
Shut up.
you...
Shut up. It is at the very end of the Premiere playlist, but just for you, Rama. There you go. Now, as I was saying, back to the game. Honestly, I think YouTube peaked a while ago. Remember, it was mostly just fun, silly videos that people came up with? There's a lot of cringe, for lack of a better way to put it, but there's also a lot of creativity on display. Hell, to be quite frank, I kind of miss when people would just make anime music videos. A lot of those were really well designed. Oh, I still associate, I don't know the name of the song, but it's the one that goes, "Don't turn your back on me, I can't be ignored." We appear to no longer be invincible. That's worthy of note. With the battle with Zaraki Kenpachi in Bleach. Yeah, Machinima. Is that Linkin Park? I believe you. I would not know. I've simply come too far and tried too hard. In the end, it doesn't even matter. Oh yeah, there was some really cool Warcraft machinima. One of the series I used to follow was a guy who would just take footage from his raids. This is WoW Vanilla, to be clear. And set it to music videos. Khan Maker. Every 10,000 years, the collective maker consciousness known as the Singularity births a Khan Maker, a supreme being destiny bound to lead all of Urdak until the next Khan is born. The Singularity, which contains the conscious soul data for every maker that's ever lived and died, processes and refines this data as a means of selective evolution. As hierarch of the conscious neural matrix to which each maker is interconnected, it is physically impossible for maker to refuse the collective order of shared consciousness and disobey a Khan. This system has functioned without error since the creation of Urdak until now. With the disappearance of the father, the makers are incapable of creating a successor to the Khan lineage, allowing the existing Khan to hold her claim to the throne indefinitely. Oh, trust me, we're gonna bang her. Yeah, this is what I mentioned earlier about the hive mind. I guess that explains it. It's not a true hive mind. It's more like kind of close to what the Zerg swarm does. You effectively cannot disobey the minds above you on the chain. I know that's not a one-to-one, it's just... Time being a finite resource is something I legitimately think is intentional. Not to get too conspiracy theorist-y, but it really does feel like it's something that's guided.
You're on Urdak to get back to Earth, but you will need to reconfigure the teleporter rings to activate it. We must move quickly, for the Icon of Sin grows more powerful the longer it is on Earth.
Yeah, exactly, Mr. Road. Like I said, it's not so much conspiracy theorist as just kind of natural process. We as a species tend to be a little bit too focused on productivity at the expense of other things. Something I don't really agree with, personally. Rotter. Go away. Go away! Oh my god. Go away.
Now, insert Vega to activate the portal.
What? But that means he'll be left behind.
System acquired. Setting a course for the Earth dimension now.
I can see now. Am I the father apprehended?
You must get the other teleporter rings aligned before it's too late. The gate must be reactivated. The longer the Icon of Sin is on Earth, the stronger he will become.
We'll talk about what Vega just said later. Just remember it for now. We turned on God mode because I'm not a good enough player to keep playing this at the pace it needs to be played at. So for those of you not aware of what's going on with the Icon of Sin is being stronger, blah, blah, blah. So there's a common concept when it comes to game design. They're called placeholder lines. If you're familiar with Mass Effect 1, you know what a placeholder line is because everything to do with how Male Shepard was voiced. Anyways, there were a lot of placeholder lines in this section of the game for some reason that never got replaced. So instead, he just keeps talking about the Icon of Sin getting stronger and stronger and stronger and... well, you get it. looks like I can't actually dash through enemies. I was wondering about that earlier. Oh man, I remember the guild. That's pretty much when Felicia Day got her name on the radar for the first time. Whoa, there we go.
The Godmaker needs Earth to be consumed by the demons, or her world will die.
Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the deal with the demons is already interrupted because of the loss of the Icon of Sin. So, she dead, yo. What am I missing here? Yeah, Urdak is dead, for all intents and purposes. This world died a really long time ago. All we're doing is taking it off life support. No, it's more about the deal being made, Lunaruth. They don't say it outright, but there's an implication that the demons have to follow deals, just like they do in a lot of fiction. So they made a deal with the Conmaker, and they had to follow it. The loss of the Heart of the Icon of Sin breaks that deal. That's why demons are here now. You notice there were no demons until we broke that pact. It's just called Premier Run. Trauma. It is specifically the playlist that's on the archive page. It's the very top one. It should say Premiere Run in the upper right on the thumbnail. Just yesterday, Archaon Vale. It's great. Check this out. I'll probably take down the whole area by just holding on the fire button for a while. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this off a little bit. Because, you know, why not? Oh wow, we don't have infinite Crucible. Interesting. So, this is just my impression, but I think the general idea is that the demons have never liked the fact that the majority of their energy goes to Urdak. But now they have the tech already. Like, the Necroval already exists and functions, right? They can just start claiming worlds and then keep all that juicy Argent energy for themselves. They don't have to share it anymore. Now, they may or may not be aware of the fact that we just broke their energy-making process, because we were just in the Necroval, but again, most of these things are mindless beasts. Not sure what you expect of them. Fashion way then. Well, we haven't gotten to Imora yet, have we? We'll talk about Imora later. And I believe the second DLC. Yeah, this is just lore-accurate Doom guy right here.
By awakening the Icon of Sin inside her, the seal has been broken, Now the demons may pass through the void as never before. You have brought her people and this lonely place eternal damnation.
But hang on,
It was arrogant to bring the dormant icon here. Her hubris has shattered paradise.
But is it making the icon of Sid stronger? That's what I really want to know. What? Why? Favorite demon... Favorite new demon. Hey, Chill Pangolin. Well, the hydrocodone has definitely kicked in at this point. You know, I'm actually going to go with the basic one, the Erectatron. I am definitely on drugs right now. Erectatrons were in too. That's fair. What are the new ones then? Help me out, Disco. Which ones qualify here? What brought me to start cheating? So, I said with some shame that I'm not good enough at this game to keep playing it at the level that the game requires of me. I mean, I can and I have. I have beaten this game on camera without cheats, but it was just getting arduous and frustrating. And I am actually suffering a migraine right now. Having said that, as we talked about earlier, the combat problem, those first 14 or so negatives, is your answer as to why. I started running into... Yeah, I'm actually fighting something off too, so that's just on top of everything else. I feel like this is something I was talking to my friends about just last night. Almost every individual element of Doom Eternal's core combat is actually excellent. The problem I have is with how they interact with each other. And I know that's mostly just a me thing, but I do stand by it, and I've been checking those thoughts and double-checking them as we go through this, because I don't just want to give a negative to a game because it's irritating me, right? I want to try and process the hows and the whys and the wherefores. And I feel like a lot of the specific elements of the game just kind of dovetail into each other to make the moment-to-moment combat more frustrating. And yeah, I just played through Doom 4 all the way through without any particular issue, despite also still being sick. And point there. Now, Doom 4 doesn't expect as much from you, because Doom 5 has a much higher hit. I hesitate to use the word mandatory, but it feels like Doom 5 very much wants you to be constantly cycling through that kit, which is fine, but again, it's just something that I'm not at the level to do so. So I could cheat, or I could cancel the run. This is one of those extremely rare examples where we're not cheating to save time. Although I guess we are, because I could just throw my face into the meat grinder until I beat an encounter. But I don't think anybody wants to see me fail against an encounter 5 times in a row before we finally progress. We do have Dark Souls fans here, that's true. How did that not hit anything? There we go. Oh yeah, we're on easy. We actually are still on easy difficulty. As I've mentioned earlier, I think the melee change is the biggest change that would actually help me to enjoy this game. I don't think it would, like, magically fix everything, but I think this game would be a lot more tolerable if I could just push through enemies rather than having to get body blocked by them or flanked by them. The difficulty options, I supposedly change the AI aggression, but also primarily change how much damage they do. And yeah, I'll be honest, my biggest worry about all of this was the DLCs, but remember, I've never even played. There it is, Jesus. I hope so, Seth, honestly. Oh god, the Dark Lord fight. Yeah. We'll get there. Correct, Lunaruth. And I can still judge things like encounter layout and construction, level design, everything on the story axis. Don't mistake me, I don't like cheating in a game. I never like cheating in a game. But make of this what you will. I've been able to actually enjoy the game more since I turned on the cheats. So, who's ready for the second to last boss fight? Okay, so Snake, Floater, Barrier, Marauder, Fodder, Gargoyles, Maker Drones. Tyrants.
With the rings fully aligned, the dimensional gate to Earth is now open. Get to the landing platform and pass through the portal. Earth does not have much time left.
Is the Icon of Sin getting stronger? Well, I tend to get specific with how I use save states too, Roz. Like, if I save state in the middle of a fight in order to make an optimum outcome, that feels like a cheat to me. But by contrast, if I just save state to save time on rather than going through the aggravation of saving, then yeah, it's just a time saver. That's a good example, Roz. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, because... Oh yeah, so this is actually a little bit of interesting storytelling here. This is a maker. This is in fact a previous Khan maker, not the current one. Now, to my knowledge, we have no idea what's going on with this. Who this is, why they're here, anything. Here's the interesting part, though. This is our best look at what they look like underneath the armor. And yeah, they look all demonic, right? Like, they straight up look demonic. Now, several people have naturally presumed that this just means the makers are demons. But there's kind of an asterisk there. This very same game actually showed one person before and after demonic corruption. It was the priest. Remember that? Back in the Gladiator level? And a lot of the specific coloration and like the tautness of the skin and the exposed whatever is a similar thing to what we're seeing here. So a common theory is that the makers have been subsisting off of Argent energy, which is partially hell energy, for so long that they have slowly been corrupted by hell. In other words, that they don't look like that innately. It's functionally irrelevant, though, because as I already pointed out, the whole point with the makers is that they are demonic. They are intentional, intelligent, and willful evil, who deliberately go out of the way to sow false religion to multiple worlds in order to try and convert them into a food source for their continued existence. They're the definition of demons. Now, there's been a theory going around for a while, Plutonia, that the Mother Demon, essentially that the makers were based off of the Mother Demon, and thus, retroactively, the Mother Demon was a maker. I don't know if I buy into that, but it's an interesting thought.
The Godmaker is near. She cannot let you leave this place alive. She is invulnerable when she has the orb within her chest. Once removed, her defenses will be down.
Boss time.
For millennia we have survived. Made others sacrifice in the name of our prosperity. So that they may in turn find redemption. Who are you? A human, once a mortal, to defy our traditions.
Lucifer, by the way. Angel of Light. So she's essentially invincible right now, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Just gonna pour into her for a second here. Go up, and we punch. Notice she even glows green. So, the construction of this fight is actually quite simple, and we still have to engage with it at least a little bit. She is only vulnerable specifically to blood punches. Now, at this point in time, we have several methods by which to engage in that particular bar. But the most common and easiest way to do it is by doing glory kills. You notice we've got a lot of relatively low health things down here. So relatively easy to get glory kills off of. And we pour some fire into her for a minute. She doesn't have particularly high shields. And what we do... Now here's the thing. I actually did spec a little bit into Blood Punch. And I did that because I have a brain and knew this was coming. This fight can be a little bit more frustrating, depending. Because there are other ways to fire up the Blood Punch other than just doing this. No, not this early, no! Yes, little one?
Bye, Streamy.
Streamy? Who's a Streamy? Who's a Streamy? told that Deadpool 2 is pretty good, offshore Twitch account. Okay, so, back to killing demons. And boy, do I mean that literally. Look at this twit. Oh, I'm charged, I'm charged. Now, I do have one complaint about this fight. You have to blood punch her 6 times. Get it? But that's the problem. I think that's too much. Also, she does this red crap on the ground. And otherwise, this arena is actually pretty well laid out, but it's kind of irritating when part of it you're just not supposed to go to. And remember, you want glory kills, which means melee, on ranged enemies who stay in the crap. I'm not a huge fan of that. Wow, that was a one-shot on her shield. I guess it should be. Yeah, 3 times would actually work a lot better here, I think. As is, and speaking from experience, because we did this fight without cheats last time, this fight can get old. Like, it's a fun, interesting, intense fight that just overstays its welcome. So this might be one of those positive, negative territories. I mean, you'll see how long it's taking me with invincibility and infinite ammo on, you know. We're also supposed to be doing this periodically to refill our ammo. Yeah, maybe have a phase 2 after she gets down to 3 bars or something. I don't know. There's ways we can mix this up. I don't mind this being like a 6-bar fight if we're doing, like, if that's a hard mode thing. That's a pretty normal thing for hard mode, is to force the player to endure longer. Like, okay, you figured out the fight, can you hang with that for a while? Also notice the amount of crap she's putting on the ground is escalating as she goes lower and lower in health. There we go.
You have destroyed all that I was meant to rule. And all just to protect them. Mere servants to our beliefs. You have broken the holy seal of Urdak. Your transgressions here will jeopardize all of creation.
I like the implication. We'll talk about that in a second. The implication being that, you know, Urdak was keeping a lid on Hell, as in preventing it from expanding and destroying all life. But, again, reality doesn't agree with that, right? In reality land, the Urdak were making Hell a worse problem, not a better one. They weren't keeping a lid on anything. 2 blood attacks to give me an upper charge. Could have used that for that boss fight. Okay, so we've got level for Urdak. And yeah, we just leave Vega behind. See, here's the interesting thing. Urdak was arguably making the demons worse, but... how do I put this? The demons would have very, 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 very slowly progressed throughout the cosmos, and eventually possibly even been defeated. But then remember, they were empowered by their deal with the Makers. So now they can expand much faster and much more rapidly. But then their leash was being held by the Makers, and now the leash is gone. So at this point in time, yeah, this is actually an escalating problem. But that's okay. All that means is all we have to do is kill Hell. So let's go fight the actual final boss, shall we?
Cannot save you.
Now, last time this fight was absolutely insane. I cannot tell you how relieved I am that I'm going to be doing this fight with cheats on. Oh god, I remember fighting this guy last time. And it's a long fight with no mid-mission checkpoints, so any screw-ups towards the end means having to redo a very, very long fight, which is very, very intense. I died a couple of times last time. It was one of those rare moments where I didn't talk at all to chat. I was just focusing on the fight and nothing else. I had to. I'm gonna have to, Dark Day. We'll see how it goes. It's interesting you say that, Archeon Vale. All jokes and memes aside, despite the fact that I do not like this Icon of Sin fight, and I don't, to be very clear, it is still superior to the 1 and 2. The 1 and 2 is a terrible boss fight top to bottom. Badly designed, buggy, frustrating, and irritating. With also some RNG elements baked in, thanks to the very nature of how the fight is constructed. Yeah, having to aim missiles without the ability to aim missiles is all I need to say about that. It was an attempt at being clever in a limited engine, and I'll give them credit for attempting to be clever, not for succeeding at it. I am shocked they didn't do that, Seth, although I bet they just couldn't get, you know, permission from John Romero. Although supposedly he liked Doom Eternal, so whatever. You know, Lineruth. I love you, Lineruth. I keep turning down the volume, and you keep telling me I'm not turning down the volume enough. Sigh. We'll turn it down even more. It's like that meme with Kylo Ren, right? Where he's like, more! Except that's Linearith, and she's like, more! Down! And I don't know why you're wearing that hair, Linearith, but it looks really good on you. No, Linearith, don't do that. It's just... It is frustrating, but it's not your fault. It's just frustrating how much I have to constantly adjust the audio for them. At least they give us audio sliders, right? We've played plenty of games where we don't have audio options at all. Hang on. Did I? Nope, we're good. Metroid Dread. God, come on, Nintendo. Options exist.
Earth has no hope for survival.
Is he getting stronger, Samuel? I need to know. There he is, in the background. Oh. So since I'm officially in a hurry, that's why we're just going to BFG our way through this section. He's a big boy. He ate his vegetables.
Can someone kill this idiot, please?
Nope. Milesin. The Icon's presence warps reality, damaging the implicate implicit order of our dimension merely by existing within it. If the icon is allowed to remain unchecked, it would lead to the total devastation of Earth, followed by a breakdown of space-time around the planet. The resultant black hole will drag the universe down, casting into the mouth of hell as conquest to be absorbed by the Dark Realm. The Khan Maker had taken measures to augment the Titan, installing Maker technology throughout the structure to ensure it would be controlled. With the ritual interrupted, the icon is now fully unleashed, raging across Earth until hell consumes all. No longer bound by the heart of the Betrayer's son, the icon of sin is free from any measure of control that the Makers might have once conceived. Only the Slayer, prophesied in Argenta legend to stand against the icon, can stop this apocalypse. Yeah, by the way, a second negative for plot. Like, in case you missed that, the Icon of Sin, which is, I remind you, a Titan, can somehow create a super black hole so massive that it will absorb all of reality, and that specific black hole will drag them into hell and not anywhere else that might actually do. And so now we are fighting for the fate of the entire universe, out of absolutely nowhere and for no functional reason. Why? There is no reason for this sudden escalation right at the last minute. We're already fighting for the fate of Earth, which is already kind of smashed. You can tell, because we're in it right now, looking around at the ruins. Come on. That was completely unnecessary. You know what I should do. We're also just trying to stop hell, which, regardless of humanity, is probably also a worthwhile cause. Unnecessary escalation. Yeah, I usually put that under plot. Like, come on. Who knows, though? Maybe we should start making a category for that, because that comes up a lot. At least we got some banging soundtrack, right? This is the music. Well, I shouldn't make that joke. Yeah, I've been leaving God mode off. Infinite ammo might be sufficient to avoid God mode. We'll see. I am in a hurry. Dinner is being eaten actively without me right now. Just making the point. Just making the point. Alright, alright, alright. Enough screwing around. Ironically, get that, but yes. My lateness to dinner is causing a latent black hole, which will cause all of reality to be consumed. I mean, honestly, at this point. That's a good question. To my knowledge, they never actually explain why it's the icon specifically. Like, you could assume it's the connection to the sun that was infused with him, so he's like a special Titan. The thing is, the sun's gone. We freed him. That's the whole point. So... Oh, I didn't know that Zebra Shortage. Thank you. Yeah, a regular Titan is still a really big problem. And I don't even mean that as a joke. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Okay. Ah, damn it. stuck here last time. Oh no, the story in this game is actually quite solid for the most part. More so than you'd think. It certainly has its holes, but at least some very real thought was put into how things should connect where and when. When we get to the DLC, we'll talk about that when we get there. Yeah, Mike Romano, I'm sorry. This is the exact same problem I had last time. There's what I'm looking for. I'm blind. What's funny is the first time I played this game, one of the biggest complaints I got from the YouTube comments was people complaining that I actually found the story to be enjoyable. I can't wait to see what they think of it now. Granted, a lot of that story plus is execution, voice acting, motion capture and animation, camera work, brickwork, visual storytelling. So I stand by it. Again, I don't want to bury the lead, but there's a non-zero chance we'll start having some negatives to story when we get to the DLCs. Wait until you get to the plot twist. Another Marauder. Thank you for checking, whatever. It's a really common tendency, Ross. It is truly rare that DLC raises the score of a game. It's happened, but it's rare. Where is this twat? Is that it? That's him. That's him. One thing I funny, there actually is a lot of BFG ammo on this level. You know, I think you're right, Lunaruth. Because, like, if we go back to, like, the basics here... If I can even find my basic guns. Here we go. That's not too particularly bad, right? And that's pretty good. It's a nice chonky sound. But then you get up to... okay, where am I? No, that's exactly what it's saying, Kitten Fan, that good DLC is rare. I guess it happens.
Soon, the gods will walk amongst us once again. Only then shall we find salvation.
Uh-huh. You know, the icon walking around in the background there.
Across that bridge.
UAC, which I didn't really talk about earlier, they're actually working with Hell. They were completely corrupted into the Hell cult by one of the priests. I forget which one. The second one we killed. Hey, Scumlord. Don't mind me. Best example of a good DLC? Right off the top of my head, first thing that occurs to me is Frozen Throne for Warcraft 3. I know that's actually an expansion, but unlike Brood War, which definitely was kind of a mixed bag, Frozen Throne is fantastic. I was actually about to mention Blood and Wine for Witcher 3, which is another excellent example. We also have the Citadel from Mass Effect 3, and,
Now is the time. Two titans meet, as it was written.
and the Shimmering Isles in Oblivion. Final boss. So, phase 1 is taking out all of the various armor pieces. Go a little bit faster than usual. Oh, that's a good question, Kid Fan. I don't know. Wow. Okay, let's just switch to this thing. So phase 1 is just kind of whatever. It's phase 2 where this fight gets a little bit harrowing. Because right now the only ads we're facing is stuff that's there to refill us, right? Also, the armor has a lot of health. Now we're starting to see some real ads. Notice that it's actually invincible during certain animations. Did you catch that? I'm not sure of exactly what governs that, but it's something I ran into last time, too. This is a fight where you have to remain extremely mobile. The boss can area denial huge swaths of the arena, more or less at will. With the lightning and the fire. Like that. Whoa, and that can happen.
Fully destroyed, the body is now exposed. Take the portal and finish this fight.
So that was phase 1. Phase 2 is the main one. Same general idea, actually, but a lot meaner of an arena. A lot more trash. And the trash, I don't know if it escalates based on body parts or just on time, but either way, by the time this fight is getting to the end of it, we're going to be absolutely swarmed with some really mean stuff. Looks like it might be time-based, because we've taken out a lot of his body parts, and they still haven't really started spawning the mean stuff yet. Oh, it's an escalating fight. If you take too long. That's kind of mean. There we go. Yeah, there's a slow enrage, exactly. Look. Notice he also gets more attacks the less body parts he has. They're already starting to throw an Arachnotrons at us. Oops. Looks like its arm. Yep, that's what's missing. Whoa! Yep, and there's nothing you can do about that either. Hold on the subject. He can just momentum you off into oblivion, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think the biggest problem I have with this fight overall is it's just very, very janky. The Icon himself just interacts with the game engine in weird ways. Yeah, if that killed you, being knocked off the edge, that would be terrible. See that lightsaber we made earlier? Well, it turns out the way to stop a universe-consuming black hole is with a lightsaber. Go figure. I'm just making fun of the universe black hole thing again, don't mind me. God, yeah, that fight took me like 10 minutes last time I did it. I don't think anything is on the level of changing math.
And you will be their savior. Your strength will be their shield, and your will their sword. You remain unbroken, for your fight is eternal.
I meant 10 hours, Blue Felix. So, yay, we did it. Yeah, Earth is screwed. Everything's screwed. But we did it. Now I'm going to chop off a bit early because we're not actually done. We still have the DLC, which will be starting tomorrow at roughly 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go have dinner. I'll see you guys.